Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Neon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And it's time for another daily dose of dismal Disney. There are rumors now that Disney could push back the release date of the live-action Snow White movie.
Yes, I saw this yesterday. They were saying about this. We didn't get time to cover it yesterday because you weren't here.
Yeah. So we're gonna talk. We're gonna talk about it today. It's a slow news day, and yeah, everybody's playing musical release dates because of the strikes in Hollywood. Dune is getting pushed back until next year, which is interesting because that tells me that Hollywood studios don't think the strikes are going to end.
Well, I have some thoughts about all of this, but before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. If you do, you'll get a woohoo. So yeah, go out to piratesandprincesses.net for more objective Disney news, by the way. And what are your thoughts on this situation? Okay, so a couple things here. One, Snow White wasn't scheduled to 2024. It's March 22nd, I think, 2024. So it already wasn't coming to next year. So why would they need to push it back? Well, there's a couple reasons. One, it could be that they're just using that as an excuse so they can push it back and then shelve it or put it on Disney Plus or something like that. There's that, they don't release it theatrically because of all the backlash. That's the one idea. The other idea is this, though. If it's not scheduled to March, there's no reason to push it back unless they're either afraid of the fact that it comes out a week after Dune, the new Dune 2 date, or they're going to move it to bring another movie in its place. Like right now, they're currently saying they're not going to move the Marvels. They don't believe that that's going to get moved. And honestly, given the fact they have the chance for IMAX and less competition, if I were Disney, I would not move it. But they might have contractual obligations where the actors get paid to go promote it, and they might have to move it. So they might take the Snow White date and put the Marvels in there, or another movie that they might have to push back in that date. Is the other option I can think of. Personally, I would use it as an excuse to get rid of Snow White. But
right. Oh, we're gonna go direct to streaming, guys, just because because of the strike. It was an act of God. We couldn't have seen this.
Right. So we're just gonna put it on Disney Plus, whatever. But I just think it's interesting because it's not even until March of next year. Other movies are being pushed back to avoid the strikes. It's already in a date that would avoid the strikes, most likely. Why move it off of that date? Unless you're either going to shove it back for another movie, you're going to switch that date, like the Marvels or Wish or something, or you're going to use it as an excuse to get rid of it.
Yeah, I think they're going to try to make this. I mean, look at everything Disney's doing right now to try to, I guess, distance itself from some of the stupid decisions they made in the last couple of years, right? We've talked about this, a lot of quote unquote course correcting, I think, when it comes to this sort of thing. This movie seems like the pinnacle of DEI run amok at Disney. And one of the first things they did when they were trying to cut back was dump their diversity and inclusion officer. So it might be like, they're like, well, we'll just keep what they call it, kicking the can down the road. We'll just kick the can down the road until the public forgets about it. And then we'll just quietly sneak it out there. Remember High Guardian Spice at Crunchyroll? So much controversy about High Guardian Spice.
Was it the first one that was approved, but the last one released?
Yes. High Guardian Spice was the first Crunchyroll's original that was approved. It was already in the can, I guess. And they waited until they already had a deal signed with Sony to sell Crunchyroll to release it at the very, very, very last possible date before Sony took it over, probably because they had a contractual obligation to do it. I could totally see Disney doing something like this. Like, let's just kick this can down the road as far as possible. Okay, we'll release it. Oh, hey, it looks like because the strikes pushed everything back and now it's going to land on top of another movie. Yeah, we're just going to have to just dump it on Disney Plus.
Yes, I'm more of the mindset that that's what they're going to do, even though I do think it's interesting because it's in a date that shouldn't be impacted. So they either want the date for something else or it's a both. They can get the date for something else and then just dump this on Disney Plus because everybody universally is pissed about this movie. Like you're hard pressed to find people who are like, oh, this is great. It's all okay. Even TikTok is mocking it on the daily. So, I mean, the people that are even on the far left think it's gone too far.
Oh, yeah.
You know how hard it is to make them think it's gone too far? They think it's gone too far. I'm like, everybody hates this movie, and they have pushed it too far. And honestly, their choice to replace the dwarfs. And that's something else that was interesting, because in her interview that she did last year, She was talking about how when she did the audition, she didn't know she was auditioning for. Okay, she didn't know she was auditioning for Snow White. They had like names on the thing. So instead of like the dwarves, it was like I think she said like Jack and Anne or something. I forget what she said the names were. Anyway, but when the person was like having her read the lines, they slipped and said dopey, and then she realized what it was for. So she said when she auditioned for Snow White, she didn't know she was auditioning for Snow White, which makes a lot of sense how much as she hates the character.
Yeah, she says she saw it once. They said actually in this article from the Direct, they said she saw it one time. She saw it one time and it scared her.
But in the interview, she's like, I was going to elbow whoever I had to out of the way to get this gig. I'm like, but you hate Snow White. But this person, she's basically wasn't even knowing she was auditioning for the character. And then they slipped, and that's how she found out about it. So she didn't care. It's like she was just doing it because she thought it was a big deal. She'd get a lot of attention for it.
Yep.
And, she just keeps pissing people off with her comments. Between the dwarves being replaced, which, my point is, the dwarves were originally intended to be in it. Unless they're going to name the magical creatures the same name as the 7 dwarves. Yeah. The dwarves were originally intended to be in it, because why would they say dopey if they were going to replace the dwarves? So their idiotic ideas to replace the dwarves probably was because of, the complaints by... Dinklage. Okay. I'm sorry. His comments probably had a lot to do with it, because apparently they were putting dwarves in it unless they were going to name the magical creatures the same name as the original dwarves, and that's going to be their excuse. So they already were planning this. That just proves they changed it. So they changed it and took acting roles away from dwarf actors, which is also causing a lot of backlash. In the name of progressivity. Is that even a word?
Progressive. It is now. It's in the geeky lexicon.
Progressivity. Yeah. And you can't make this shit up. You can't even like make it up with The Onion or Babylon Bee at this point. It's gone so far.
I was joking in the other video that we are literally living in The Onion, where everything is beyond parody at this point. That you can't even tell what's real, what's not real. Reading again like Babylon Bee, or reading some of the headlines, or like, yeah, this is actually more believable than the stuff actually going on in the world.
Or I'll see a headline and I'll automatically believe it. Then I'll have to click on it to see that it's The Onion or Babylon Bee, because I'm like, oh my God, what's this? And I'll click on it. Because the headlines basically are so believable, you're clicking on them. It's like it's like Inside the Magic every day, but for real. I'm sorry, but that's just like the most clickbaity load of shit website ever out there.
Anyway, Magic. That's a whole nother thing. But yeah, so apparently the rumor came from the Puck newsletter. It's Matt Bellany. And he's been right before. He's been right about, he's a Hollywood insider. He's been right before. And he says, I think this thing's definitely going to move off the date, especially with them pushing Dune back.
So because they're going to have to compete against Dune.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's going to be a lot of shakeup. They said, Deadpool 3 May 3rd, while they stopped production on that because of the strike.
Yeah.
So
that's the other part of it, is that it could just maybe not be ready in time. I guess that's the prevailing theory, is that it's not going to be done in time because of the strikes. That's why they might move it off the date. I think it's a good opportunity just to get rid of it completely. But
they're saying they could use the window to do some reshoots. I don't think they're going to put any more money into this movie. I think they know this is a losing proposition, because if you go down here, they said the pre-approval rating. Why is there a pre-approval rating for Snow White? The pre-approval rating for Snow White is already trending down.
It's not trending down. It is like so far down, it's going underground at this point.
What pre-approval rating? Where? Citation, please. Show me.
But by that word pre-approval, it just means that at some point there was approval, and I don't think there has been.
Yeah, I think a lot of these movies got... Well, I don't think Iger and or Chapek or whoever the hell was in charge when this movie got greenlit was thinking, well, we're going to do a live action Snow White, but we're going to change everything about it. And we're going to cast an actress who actively hates the character. I mean, that makes no sense.
And has a problem with it running at the mouth, and has done so before. I wouldn't have hired her for that reason.
No.
This isn't the first time she's gone off on Twitter and caused issues. Now, the prevailing, and I did know this, the prevailing explanation is because of reshoots and it might not be done in time. I call bullshit. I call bullshit on that.
Green screen, some actual doors into it.
Because we already knew they were doing like promotional photography and stuff, and reshoots, they weren't there.
It's done. They know. I mean, it's just like Pinocchio. They knew it was so bad. It was like, yeah, we'll just... because of the pandemic, we'll just put Pinocchio on Disney Plus, because you knew if you released Pinocchio in theaters, it was going to go bust.
And I think that the reshoots, if they do reshoots, it's to try to fix things, because people are going to be so pissed that, if there's reshoots now, it's because of that.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's just take the L, You know, I don't know what else to tell you, Disney. Like at this point, you're going to have to do a reset on everything. And I'm sitting here thinking like you're talking about the Marvels moving to IMAX. I'm like, if they're cutting so many corners with their special effects, is that a smart idea?
I don't know.
You know, to put that in IMAX, to be like,
I'm not saying they'll get IMAX. I've been saying that they weren't going to get IMAX initially because of Dune 2, and that the IMAX CEO had said that if for some reason Dune 2 pulls, then they could put Marvels in there.
Yeah.
But they didn't say that Disney wanted the Marvels in there. I was assuming they wanted the Marvels in there, but they might not because of what you're saying, or who knows? I'm just thinking, you know, if they move Snow White off a date, it's either because they're going to say it's reshoots. Bullshit. Because they've been working on this movie for how long now? I mean, if it's not done now, it's never going to get done.
Oh, yeah.
It's just, I think it's more because they're going to get rid of it or they're going to put something else in its place.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's just everything's up in the air, and it doesn't matter how close to the deadline you are. I mean, the fact they moved Dune after they already released trailers for it, and now because of the pandemic, there is a precedent. You can just move movies like right off the damn date as many times as you want to. The Marvels has been moved how many freaking times? They already had the toys at McDonald's because it was supposed to be out already.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. What was that, a couple months ago or a month ago?
Yeah, it was like a month ago. They had the toys out. Yeah.
Because that was the original release date. It was supposed to be July. It was the same date as Haunted Mansion.
Yeah.
And then they switched it. You know, Haunted Mansion moved to November, or moved from November to July, and then this moved to November.
Yeah, so I don't think anybody gives a shit anymore, because it used to be like people would count down the days to like, oh, the next Marvel movie comes out on this date, and I can't wait. But in theaters get already now, they're just like, yeah, if it actually shows up on that date, you know, we'll maybe go see it. Maybe.
So what's your opinion? Do you think it's a matter of reshoots? Do you think it's a matter of they were looking for an out? Do you think it's a matter of they want the date for another movie to shift back to there because of the strikes? Yes.
Yeah, I think it's all the above. I think that I think they know Snow White is going to be a money losing disaster. I think they're at this point. I think they're just trying to mitigate damage or dump it someplace where it's, because look, if you release this during the holidays, that's usually a really big time for Disney movies, and they have Wish coming out too. You know, oh well, this one didn't work. Maybe we'll have to. Because of the strikes, we're going to have to rethink our live action content strategy a little bit going forward.
We'll have to cancel these because, you know,
oh, well,
force majeure.
Force majeure. And because of the strikes are the reason that everything failed, not because we made dumb fucking decisions. It has nothing to do with us.
Where I'm at is, if they are doing reshoots, it's because they're trying to fix some shit last minute because people are not happy. I honestly think that's an excuse. I think that they're just using it as an excuse for why they might move it off the date. And I think that they're going to move it off the date for other reasons.
I'm sitting here thinking, like, what if they like Henry Cavilled her mouth and they had her saying other dialogue that obviously it wasn't her?
I don't
like, she's got mustache and you can see it in there.
Well, the dialogue, I think it's more about like the magical creatures and all that crap. And then they have her girl bossing it too much. And I don't think that was the way they intended the movie. I think that's how they were going to start being more closer to the original. And then because they brought her in, she's just like, wow, we need to change this, and this.
Well, plus the DEI officer.
Yeah, I agree.
I have to wonder if she got together with the DEI officer and they're like, well, we're going to fix this shit. We're going to make a Snow White for the 21st century. We're going to, and it just, it didn't work out. It didn't work out very well for them. So it's going to be a disaster, guys. I mean, there's no way to say it. Even if the movie somehow is good, the damage has already been done. I mean, look at The Flash. Look at all these other examples of there being so much controversy around the movie before it comes out that it tanks at the box office.
Well, this movie was supposed to be out how long ago?
Yeah.
Same for the Marvels. They're supposed to be out like how long ago?
Because they're both a piece of shit.
Right. And they're not good enough and they keep dragging it on. It's just like, just either cancel it, throw it on Disney Plus, or just, shit or get off the pot. Because this is getting ridiculous.
Just release the turd already.
Right. Leave it in March. Be done with it.
Release the turd, wipe your ass, and move on. Flush it and move on.
If they do that, then less people will be talking about Disney. And it doesn't matter whether good or bad because it's still an engagement. So whatever.
Pretty much. Welcome to 2023. It doesn't matter if it's good or bad. Engagement's engagement, right? We're going to wrap this up.
Yep.
Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. We'll talk later.
Bye.